Hey guys, in this episode, I'm talking to my good friend, Mr. Tim Engel. He's a Sacramento-based commercial and fashion photographer. Tim and I are going to talk all about photography in Sacramento. Hey, Tim Engel, welcome to the show, man. How's it going?
Frederick, I get to see you on a screen. It's been a while.
The city has to be one of the Bay Area's or Northern California's best kept secrets, right?
Yeah, it's for sure. It's people are very surprised, and I've not met anybody who's moved here and been like, "Oh, I hate it."
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple of reasons for that, because as I was kind of looking around the Bay Area, I came up here several times to look around, and I was blown away at what was here. Because, people from down south, and I'll consider down south, San Francisco, Petaluma, Mountain View, Cupertino, Silicon Valley, and San Francisco area.
Sure.
People from down south look at Sacramento as Arnold country.
You need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Arnold Schwarzenegger country. So where can you get creativity out of agriculture and government? Government, right? Those things don't equal awesome, beautiful, HDR fashion shots, right?
Right. Well, and the big joke forever was that Sacramento is like the midpoint for a lot of stuff, which actually is a great thing.
Yeah.
Because not only do we have a massive amount of great things here, you can get places. I can get obviously to Tahoe, at a fairly easy shot.
Yeah.
So winter or summer, whatever you want, you're an hour and a half up to some really great scenery.
Yeah. Napa's right there.
Yep. Napa the other way. Sure. Yep. Yeah. And I'm born and raised here. And the more, I traveled for years doing different things. And the more I traveled, the more I realized I like Sacramento.
Yeah. It's your hometown. And you always come home. Yeah. And I can see that too. And you've seen Sacramento grow from wherever it was when you started here all the way up to now. Me jumping into the fray now, I kind of get a look at it. It seems like a city in transition in a lot of ways, and we'll talk about the photography community or the photographic community in a second. But it seems like from a maturity standpoint, it kind of seems like if you compare it to a New York or Chicago or Los Angeles or Dallas or something, those would be mature cities or adult cities, maybe in their late 30s or so, maybe early 40s. It kind of feels like that. Whereas Sacramento feels like it's like a 22-year-old city, or maybe even an 18 or 19-year-old city, where it's just starting to get to know itself. It's still, it's still impressing people, making mistakes here and there, but it's beautiful and clean.
Yep. No, it's definitely, from, as the R Street area to some different spots in Sacramento, it's in the last 5 years, it's made, I think, massive kind of like leaps in things to do and cool. Saturday, there is no shortage of things to do on Saturdays in the summer.
Yeah.
From concerts in the park to obviously the state fair going right now.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, I was blown away by that. The other thing that will blow away people from, the Bay Area proper is the housing prices up here.
Right.
If you've tried to buy a house in the Bay Area, the gravity's a little bit different than the rest of the country even. And I would say Sacramento is high comparatively to the rest of the United States, but comparatively to the rest of, or to some of the larger metropolitan areas in California, it's a percentage of that. In other words, put in perspective, a $1.2 million home in, let's say, San Jose is about a third that here.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
Or maybe a little bit more, but it's less than half than that, so which means your money goes a lot further. And if you are a entrepreneur or someone who works from home and you don't need to necessarily commute into a Google or an Apple or some place like that, it makes a whole lot of sense to move to a place like this because you're not living to pay your mortgage,
Right.
So, so it's cool. So the photographic community, that was the other thing that was shocking to me, is coming up here and just seeing what a vibrant, creative, not just photographers, it's a vibrant, creative area this is. A young, creative, kind of hip New Orleans meets,
photography.
it's like New Orleans meets Austin kind of feel around here.
Yeah.
Is it just my Stockholm syndrome speaking?
No, I think you're definitely right. There is a community of, well, for me, obviously, a photographic community that's supported by, makeup artists, hairstylists, models, clothing designers. You have Sacramento Fashion Week. You have a lot of cool things that are going on that I owe the position I'm in right now with the success and the different things that I've done to that community. Mm-hmm. Without that community, my work wouldn't be even close to what it is now.
Yeah.
And I started, I started photography back, 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah. I was way back before I was born, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right there with me. Like, we're in the same class.
Yeah. Truth be told, I am actually several months older than you, right?
That's right. Yep. But I was a freshman on my yearbook in high school, shooting film and taking pictures, and I kept that camera in my hand all through my life. I've never really put it down. It's always been there for me. Yeah. When other people aren't, it's there.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
And
I used to say that about my cat, right?
Yeah. And there wasn't really much of a community social media has allowed this community to grow.
Yeah.
There wasn't a great community then. You had your local camera stores, but even then there was a few camera stores that I'd gone to, and I was met at one that no longer exists with kind of like that, don't bug me kid attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And as a new photographer, that sucked. It was terrible. And then there was another camera store, Action Camera, which I went to, that was totally opposite, that really kind of started that community for me. And they even had things from swap meets to, just going and hanging out in the camera store and talking shop was, as a kid was amazing. And as social media came along and the web grew up and all that kind of stuff, I started a meetup group probably 9 years ago now, 8-9 years ago. I think I was the second one within like a 70-mile radius. And my first goal was just to get together with a group of people and share the cost of doing cool productions. And the first one happened to be at the Preston Castle, which we can talk about later. But we rented the castle. We had actually gotten some models from San Francisco and paid for hair. And so we all got together and we took the total cost and split it up 10 ways. And that was literally how that group started. And it just kept going. And I realized that people are hungry for a community to get together and learn and share ideas and shoot together. And then I discovered there is this model community that was anxious to get involved with creative things that wasn't as well. So it just kept growing and growing. And now that group itself has, I want to say we're at 3,000-4,000 members in there. And then of course the Facebook groups, now we have some local ones that are, upwards of 7,000 members. Yeah. So it's a very active community and a very supportive community. I've not come across really many photographers that aren't willing to show how they do or what they do.
Yeah, and the interesting thing for me is it's not a giant city, so it's not a giant overwhelming. I mean, it's a city, so you've got your bad areas, you've got good areas, you've got affluent areas and middle class and lower. Yeah, it's a city. Yeah. It's a normal American city, but it is not gigantic. It's not. I feel like you can walk it. You could. Yeah, well,
maybe not. Or if you had a Segway, you could ride it.
Well, and I have. I've put on about 125 miles on that Segway around just downtown. So downtown. But and the fact that it feels like it's walkable means that it's like purpose built for photo walks with all the different nooks and crannies and light bouncing off of that building over here. And it could be any city in the world almost, but it's like a set.
It can change rapidly. I mean, within a few blocks, I can go from very kind of like cool neighborhood feels to another direction. I can be in old Sacramento and I can have, wood sidewalks and old buildings and obviously amazing old trains.
Yeah.
I can be on the waterfront and I can shoot down, things with a cool bridge in the background or just the water so, within a short span, you can be at very, very different, locations to shoot.
And if you want to jump in the car and drive a little bit, you could be in Folsom which is part of Sacramento, which I thought initially, ignorantly so, that it was just a prison with a couple of houses.
Yeah.
Turns out there's
there,
a giant little city over there, right?
Yep.
With a lake and all kinds of craziness. A giant lake, not just a little puddle, a ocean-sized lake,
Well, fortunately, this year it is. In the years past, it's definitely been down.
Right.
Which then provides a whole other landscape, which is cool. So it's never not something to do out there.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's a fun area. So let's talk about your work a little bit before we sign off. What do you when I did the intro, I introduced you as a commercial and fashion photographer. What does that mean exactly?
Just what it sounds like. I do a lot of different. I mean, I grew up doing early newspaper work. Mm-hmm. I shot for different newspapers in town that was in the film days again. And then I shoot for the different magazines around now. I take on larger commercial clients. There's a huge amount of commercial work just in this area alone, just from big corporations.
In all your work, you're sustained just from just the ecosystem here. It's not like you're on a plane every 5 minutes flying to New York or someplace, right?
No, well, a few years past, we actually had some clients that were in Seattle, so I was in Seattle every other month for a while. But there's a lot of stuff locally, from corporate headshots to to attorneys to, I've done well with, all these people need, marketing and web updates for these commercial clients. And so, there's times that I stay, pretty busy. I just finished a project where I had, 31 law firms to photograph. Wow. And so, it was 110 degrees out.
And you love it. And you did all that with a DSLR, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. Big,
so it was doubly hard. Right?
That's right.
But you are, all joking aside, you're a Nikon shooter and you're exploring the world of mirrorless. You got a toe in the water, right?
The little pinky toe.
A little pinky toe, yeah.
Little pinky toe. No, I'm playing with the Panasonic, the GH4.
Yeah.
Just to see, I'm trying to on some of the shoots, I'm shooting my Nikon. I have a D4 and an 810, depending on the shoot, and so I'm trying to pick up the Panasonic and shoot side by side with it and then compare files.
Yeah.
And then just learn how to use it. I mean, I'm so fast with my Nikon stuff.
Right. Yeah.
That's it's hard to deviate from that.
Yeah. But I mean, you're it's like being a knight on Game of Thrones or something, and someone's like, "Yeah, I got a brand new sword for you," and you're going into battle. I'm like, I'm going to use this sword I've been using for the last 30 years, man. Yeah.
I know it's sharp and I know it cuts, and
I know exactly how much force to put behind it to do damage. So.
That's right. Yeah, but no, the mirrorless is cool, and this week I'm going to go to the coast and try and do some different projects, and I'm going to test out some video there and some still and see what it looks like.
That's awesome. All right, so if people want to hire you or models want to work with you or people just want to check out your work, where should they go?
Yeah, there's a few places right now. We can go to ingophoto.com, and there's actually links for even signing up for different sessions of different workshops for photographers that we're working on in the future. Instagram is Tim Ingle, or that's kind of my just everyday Instagram. There's the pro one, which is inglephoto_inc. Mm-hmm. And then clickmonkeys.net is the group that we're working with right now also.
That's your meetup group, right?
Yeah, so go to that. And so right now the biggest thing we do is we arrange those photo days at the Preston Castle, which comes up the end of next month. And if you guys don't know the Preston Castle, type in Preston Castle.
Yeah.
And it will come up as one of the most haunted places in California for sure.
Yeah, that's creepy.
I will tell you that it is 100% haunted. I didn't believe any of that stuff until I went out there, and I have lots of stories now. So if you ever hang out with me, I'll tell you a few cool stories.
I want to hear it. You told me one. Yeah, there was a... Yeah, we won't scare people away, but yeah.
Well, we did the interview there.
Yeah, we did. There's an interview. If you search Tim Ingle on the site, on thisweekinphoto.com, you'll see that interview. So
yeah. And then the photo day allows people to come out and take their time and set up tripods and bring models if they want, or just shoot texture.
And that place is fanatical. I mean, or fantastic. It is just and it's a set, but it's real. It feels like that house that people go in the movies, like Evil Dead or something. And you're like, yeah, you know what? Let's go spend the night in that place. Yeah. Come on, Susie.
Yeah, that's right. And it's what and we're doing the haunted house in October, and it's what every haunted house would like to be without doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think even talking to the people there, they were doing nights at some point where you could pay and spend the night in the castle.
well, yeah, you do a nighttime investigation. So I've been in there in the dark, late, and it is, and I don't get scared easy, or I don't get intimidated easy, and it is intimidating.
Really?
Oh yeah, I get the goosebumps walking around there.
Did you hear a voice say, "Get out"?
No, I heard the voice say, "Stay here. You can't leave.
Never leave us."
That's right. No, I've heard voices. I have heard voices.
Yeah,
so I've seen, heard. I don't know about felt, but I've definitely had stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And now
you're coming back out again, so you'll see some more. And then you get to
come out. I like doing creepy stuff there. I want to do some creepy shots there. It's fun.
And you get to come to Halloween this year too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. See. All right, man. Well, thank you for doing this interview. It's been fantastic. Yeah, I encourage people to go check out your work. If you're a model in the Sacramento area, look up Tim Engel. You're on Model Mayhem and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so. I have not logged into that probably in a year and a half.
Yeah. Oh, but you're on Facebook.
Facebook, yeah, Tim Engel. Or Engel Photo on that one, either one.
Yeah. Facebook's probably the best way to get to it.
Yeah.
And Instagram or wherever, right?
Yep.
Cool, man. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Tim.
My pleasure.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks.